For every woman Quagmire treated like a joke, there was also one who almost changed his entire life. Some were loved, some were hated. We'll start with the one who came closest to actually changing him. When the guys land in Korea, it becomes obvious pretty quickly that this trip isn't just about finishing a TV show. Quagmire is still a celebrity. People recognize him on the street. Hotel staff treat him like royalty. It's been decades since the soap opera aired, but his character, American Johnny, left an impression. And then he runs into Soojin. She's his former co-star, his former girlfriend, and somehow, exactly how he remembers her. The chemistry is instant, effortless, like no time has passed at all. She invites all of them back to her place for dinner and promises to show them the missing final episode afterward. And right away, this feels different. This isn't Quagmire doing his usual routine. There's no sleaze, no one-liners, no escape plan. He's comfortable, he's present, he's happy. Then Soojin casually drops the reveal. They weren't just co-stars back in the day, they were lovers. And the way she talks about him, the way she looks at him, it's obvious those feelings never fully went away. She even introduces him to Buttercup, the cat they shared back then. Buttercup's still alive. Buttercup had kittens. And for once, the joke lands softly instead of crudely. Because this moment isn't really about sex. It's about nostalgia, about a version of Quagmire that existed before his life became one long string of punchlines and bad decisions. Eventually, they sit down to watch the final episode of the soap opera. In it, Quagmire's character has to choose: stay in Korea with the woman he loves, or return to America and the life he already knows. He chooses America. Watching it now, decades later, something changes. Peter makes an offhand comment about how stupid that decision was.
Why? Why would American Johnny leave Korea? He had everything. Love, a family. Why would he go back to his sad, pathetic bachelor life in America? He's got nothing there.
And that's when Quagmire does something nobody expects. He looks at Soojin, and he says it. I'm staying. Not as a joke, not as a bit. He means it. For the first time, possibly ever, Quagmire chooses love over convenience, over routine, over the version of himself that never sticks around. The guys panic. They list every reason this is a terrible idea. He barely knows her anymore. He doesn't speak Korean fluently. He'd be giving up Quahog, his house, his friends. Quagmire doesn't budge. They even make a full-blown K-pop music video begging him to come home. Still, nothing. For a brief moment, it genuinely looks like this is it. Like Quagmire finally found the thing that could pull him out of his own patterns. And then, reality shows up. Soojin's entire extended family lives with her. Not visits, lives. There's no privacy, no personal space, no escape. Cultural expectations pile on instantly. His day is planned for him. His appearance is managed. Even the smallest sigh gets questioned. And suddenly, this isn't a romantic reunion anymore. It's a completely different life. One Quagmire realizes he isn't actually prepared for.
Oh no!
By the time the guys are boarding their flight home, Quagmire shows up at the airport with his luggage. He doesn't explain himself. He just joins in, adds his own verse to the K-pop song, and leaves. Back in Quahog, he admits the truth. What he had with Soojin was real. The feelings were genuine, but sometimes love isn't enough when the lives don't line up. And that's what makes Soojin one of Quagmire's best relationships. Not because it worked, but because it proved he's capable of something real. He was willing to give up everything for her. His home, his friends, his entire lifestyle. That's not the behavior of a guy who only cares about casual hookups. That's a guy who could have changed. If he hadn't run the moment changing got hard. And unfortunately, running becomes a pattern. Because next up, we have the relationship where Quagmire doesn't walk away from love. He lies his way into it. If Soojin showed us who Quagmire could be at his best, Carrie shows us what happens when he wants love, but refuses to be honest about who he is. It's Halloween night. Quagmire's handing out candy, and he meets Carrie while she's taking her niece trick-or-treating. They hit it off immediately. She's charming, funny, genuinely interested in him, and for once, Quagmire isn't just thinking about how fast he can ruin this. They plan a breakfast date, a real one, and it goes great, right up until Carrie mentions she's a dog lover. Not casually. Not, I like dogs. This woman lives for dogs. Rescue dogs, volunteer work. Her entire life revolves around helping them. This is a problem, because Quagmire hates dogs. Does he admit that? Of course not. Instead, he decides the best possible solution is to lie about something fundamental to who he is. He pretends to love dogs, which means he needs a dog immediately. Buying one would require effort.
Excuse me, how much is that one?
Oh, he's a purebred Bichon Frise, so he's $1,500.
For a dog? And what's your return policy? Is it like full money back within 10 days?
Sir, if you're not interested, I have to comb feces out of the guinea pig's hair with a wet paper towel.
So he picks the easier option, Brian. Brian laughs in his face, but after enjoying the power imbalance for a moment, he agrees to help. For 6 tennis balls.
And Quagmire, there are not enough tennis balls in the world for me
I
to—
have 6.
I'll do it.
He's not doing this out of friendship. He just wants a front row seat to Quagmire embarrassing himself.
Damn it, Brian, I knew you were gonna screw this up for me. I thought you wanted to help.
Help? I'm not doing this because I want to help. I'm only doing this so I can have a front row seat when you crash and burn.
As they prepare, Quagmire keeps reminding Brian to act normal. Just bark, don't talk, be a dog. Brian tries, it's bad. At the dog park, the lie starts wobbling immediately. Quagmire can barely keep the story straight, clearly has no idea how dogs work, and starts spiraling. Somehow, Carrie doesn't notice, mostly because her own dog is distracting her. Against all logic, the relationship progresses. Quagmire starts believing this might actually work. He convinces himself that this is the one, and in a moment of peak self-delusion, he proposes.
Huh?
Will you marry me?
What's this now?
Oh my God, Glenn. Yes, of course I'll marry you.
This is where Brian finally steps back in. Carrie moves in, and with her come the dogs. Not a couple, dozens. Rescue dogs with every issue imaginable.
Is that one just a back half?
Oh, backseat? Yeah, she's a fighter.
Well, maybe she should stop fighting.
Quagmire's house turns into a fur-covered nightmare. Constant barking. Smells he can't escape. Absolute chaos. During an engagement dinner party, Quagmire is hanging on by a thread. Then he accidentally says the word walk. Every dog in the house stampedes. Furniture is destroyed. Food flies everywhere. Guests flee. The lie finally collapses under its own weight. Quagmire snaps. He admits everything. He hates dogs. He always has.
I hate dogs.
He's been lying to her from the beginning. The relationship ends instantly. Carrie isn't just hurt, she's furious, and rightfully so. Quagmire didn't just lie to impress her. He built their entire relationship on something fake. But what this relationship really exposes is something uncomfortable. Quagmire wanted love badly enough to pretend he was someone else, but not badly enough to actually change. There was no authenticity here, no real connection. Just Quagmire performing the version of himself he thought Carrie wanted, and you can't keep that up forever. Carrie deserved someone who genuinely shared her passion, not someone counting down the minutes until he could escape the dog park. Quagmire created his own disaster by refusing to be honest from the start, and as bad as that is, it still isn't Quagmire at his worst. If Carrie showed us what happens when Quagmire lies to keep a woman, Cheryl Tiegs shows us what happens when he convinces himself he doesn't deserve one. This storyline starts with Brian, not Quagmire. Brian's struggling with his love life and decides to take Quagmire's pickup class, because if anyone knows how to get women into bed,
who else but Quagmire?
He's Quagmire. Giggity, 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 let's have sex.
Quagmire teaches it like a philosophy course, laying out his rules, his methods, his worldview. And very quickly, it becomes clear these techniques were never meant for relationships. When Brian complains they aren't helping him get Denise back, Quagmire explains the uncomfortable truth.
These skills aren't for women you care about, you idiot. This course is in getting laid, not finding love.
Brian pushes back.
So what's the point? If you never find love, then it's just meaningless sex. How will I get the woman of my dreams?
And that's when Quagmire opens up in a way we almost never see. He talks about Cheryl Tiegs, not as a conquest, not as a joke, as the woman. The one who represents everything he actually wants, but believes he can never have.
You see, women are a lot like Saturday Night Live sketches. Lots of them are awful, some are decent, and a few are pretty good. But then there's that one woman who's as amazingly perfect as Massive Head Wound Harry. For me, that woman is Cheryl Tiegs.
She's smart, confident, completely out of his league, at least in his mind.
You'd never fall for these tricks. That's why I keep trying to figure out how to bring you back into my life, so we can make it work.
He just carries her around as an idea, and then Brian uses Quagmire's own techniques to pick her up. Quagmire watches as Brian dates the woman he's built up as his ideal, using the exact methods Quagmire himself designed. Worse, Brian treats her terribly, because he's just applying tactics without any real emotion behind them. Instead of confronting Brian or admitting his feelings, Quagmire retaliates the only way he knows how. He picks up Jillian, not because he likes her, not because he wants a relationship, just to hurt Brian. They arrange a double date, and it turns into open warfare. Brian starts exposing Quagmire's insecurities. Quagmire fires back, and both relationships collapse in real time.
Well, I guess you guys have gotten pretty close, huh? Did Quagmire ever tell you he was obese as a child?
Did Brian ever tell you he once had a tick on the back of his neck that he couldn't reach with his mouth and it swelled up to the size of a ping pong ball?
Well, it was still smaller than that thing you had on your lip for 3 years.
You son of a bitch!
Both women walk out, fed up with being used as weapons. Later, outside the restaurant, Brian actually apologizes. He tells Quagmire that Cheryl's great and hopes someday he gets the chance to be with her. Quagmire's response is devastatingly honest.
I'm never gonna get that chance again. I blew it for good, Brian. And you know what? I deserve to be lonely. I'm no saint. I dated Jillian just to hurt you.
For a moment, it almost feels like growth, like two deeply flawed people finally acknowledging their damage. And then, Quagmire slams Brian with the car door and sends him flying, because of course he does. What makes the Cheryl Tiegs storyline tragic isn't what happens, it's what doesn't. We never really get to know her. She exists as a symbol, proof that Quagmire is capable of wanting something deeper than casual sex. But wanting isn't the same as trying. Cheryl represents the life Quagmire could have if he ever learned how to pursue real love instead of conquest. And even when that life is technically within reach, he'd rather watch someone else ruin it than risk failing himself. That's not confidence, that's fear. And it sets the tone for what comes next. Because if Cheryl shows us the future Quagmire could have had, the next relationship shows us a version of his life that actually worked, at least hypothetically. Because next up, we see a version of Quagmire that actually settles down, commits, and builds a family, even if it only exists in an alternate reality. At this point, it would be easy to say Quagmire just isn't built for commitment. And then the show does something annoying. It proves that he is. The setup starts with Peter, not Quagmire. Peter's complaining at the Drunken Clam about how he settled down too young, how he missed out on the single life, how things might have been better if he'd waited. Death shows up on a false alarm, and, in an uncharacteristically generous mood, gives Peter one wish. He sends Peter and Brian back to 1984 for one night. Peter appears as his 18-year-old self and immediately blows his date with Lois. Instead, he goes out with Cleveland, drinks, dances, makes out with Molly Ringwald, and lives the exact life he always thought he wanted. When death brings him back to the present, everything's different. Peter is married to Molly Ringwald. Chevy Chase hosts The Tonight Show. Al Gore is president.
Tonight on The Tonight Show, movie star George Clooney.
Oh, he's good.
Comedian Dave Chappelle.
He's funny, like him.
And musician Harry Connick Jr.
Wow, what a show.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Chevy.
Oh, God, Brian, we messed up bad. We messed up real bad.
The world is, objectively, better. And Lois is married to Quagmire. They have kids, they're happy, the marriage works, the house is stable, the family functions. Even the jokes land differently.
What can I say? I'm a vegetarian. Oh!
Because this version of Quagmire isn't chasing anything. He already has it. From everything we see, he's faithful, he's present, he's a good husband and a good father. It's unsettling. Peter can't accept it. Even though the world is better, even though everyone seems happier, he wants Lois back. So he begs death for another chance, and another, repeatedly screwing it up every time.
You are a delight, and Zapped is one of my favorite movies. I look forward to watching it with you, sweetheart.
Wonderful.
Eventually, Peter crashes the moment where Lois is about to kiss Quagmire, the moment that made her fall in love with him in this timeline. He punches Quagmire, kisses Lois, and proposes.
Will you be my wife?
Yes. Yes, I will.
The timeline resets. Quagmire loses the life that worked. What makes this relationship so important isn't what we see, it's what we don't. We never see Quagmire cheating. We never see him panicking. We never see him sabotaging anything. In this reality, he doesn't need to. It proves something crucial. Quagmire can commit. He can build a family. He can be stable and loving when the conditions are right, which makes everything that comes next so much harder to watch. Because now that we know the potential is there, we get to see exactly how badly he chooses to waste it. And the next relationship is where that choice stops being funny and starts crossing lines that can't be laughed off. Up until now, Quagmire's worst relationship decisions have mostly hurt himself. That changes with Loretta. This isn't a fling gone wrong or a lie spiraling out of control. This is Quagmire knowingly crossing the single worst line imaginable, sleeping with his best friend's wife. It starts on Peter's fishing boat during a party at sea. Loretta leans over the side. Quagmire reels in a fish, and it lands right in her shirt. She insists he reach in and get it. Cleveland walks by at the exact wrong moment, casually comments on the food, says hello, and keeps walking. He has no idea what he just witnessed. Later, Loretta makes it explicit.
Well, we'll have to do this again sometime.
You name the time and the place, little Nick.
Huh?
The affair continues until Peter and Brian accidentally walk in on Loretta cheating. They don't realize it's Quagmire at first, but once the truth clicks, everything unravels. They gather everyone and decide Cleveland has to be told.
Your wife's cheating on you. What? Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny story. True story. Brian and I walked into your house, and she was with some guy going, bam, bam, bam!
Cleveland's response is devastating in its calm. He questions Loretta. She admits it. He apologizes to her, and she explodes. She kicks him out, calls him pathetic, and Cleveland quietly accepts it. He moves in with the Griffins, seemingly unaffected, which only makes everyone more uncomfortable. Peter becomes obsessed with getting Cleveland angry, convinced that if he just snaps, he'll feel better.
Oh my God, Cleveland, I am so sorry. I can only imagine what you must be feeling right now.
It's okay.
It's okay? It's okay to be betrayed by your wife and best friend?
Little, you gotta get a little rough. Oh, God, Peter, hit me.
Yeah!
Nothing works. Not wrestling, not pep talks, not humiliation. Eventually, Peter goes too far. Wearing a Quagmire mask and a Loretta mask, he and Brian reenact the affair in graphic detail. That's when something finally breaks. Cleveland snaps. He declares Quagmire dead and goes after him with a baseball bat. Quagmire panics, hides, pleads, and eventually calls Cleveland himself to apologize. When Cleveland finally has Quagmire cornered, bat raised, ready to end it, he stops. He can't do it. Cleveland physically cannot hurt another person, even after the worst betrayal of his life. Loretta and Cleveland divorce. Cleveland moves on. And eventually, somehow, Cleveland forgives Quagmire. That forgiveness is not redemption. It's grace Quagmire didn't earn. This isn't a love story. It isn't even really a relationship. It's Quagmire choosing immediate gratification over decades of friendship, knowing exactly who he would hurt and doing it anyway. The fact that Cleveland forgives him doesn't make Quagmire better. It just proves how extraordinarily kind Cleveland is, even when he shouldn't be. And from here on out, the pattern is clear. When Quagmire's choices start having real consequences, he doesn't grow, he panics. And next, that panic traps him in a relationship so unstable that the only way he sees out of it is faking his own death. After Loretta, you'd think Quagmire might slow down. Instead, he somehow makes things worse. Joan enters Quagmire's life by pure accident. Peter wins big on Wheel of Fortune, and one of the prizes is a week of free maid service. Joan shows up, and for once...
Hi, I'm Joan. I'm, your maid for the week.
Me, Peter. You maid.
I do speak English.
You maid clean for me, Peter.
Quagmire doesn't just see a hookup, he sees a future.
Hey there. It's nice to pleasure your acquaintance. Would you like to go out to dinner tomorrow night?
I'd love to.
God, he works fast.
He cleans up his act. He's attentive. He stops sleeping around. He proposes to her at sunset on the beach. And for a brief moment, it actually feels sincere. This looks like growth. Then, the wedding reception happens. Quagmire notices Lois breastfeeding Stewie and immediately panics.
Oh, look out! Champagne!
Peter, stop!
Oh, Lois, you're all wet. Here, let me jiggle you dry.
Giggity, giggity, God, I made a terrible mistake!
And he realizes all at once that he made a massive mistake. Not because Joan did anything wrong, because he isn't ready for commitment. Instead of having an honest conversation like an adult, Quagmire tries to back out. Joan's response is chilling.
So anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is, some of the guys thought we should get a divorce.
What?
But I told them they didn't know what they were talking about.
Good. Because if you ever left me, I'd have to cut myself. And then, I'd cut you.
Suddenly, Quagmire isn't just trapped in a bad marriage, he's trapped in a terrifying one. He enlists the guys to help him escape, and their solutions are exactly as ridiculous as you'd expect. They try to fake his death with an over-the-top video.
This is, not gonna be easy, but, it's something you should see. So anyway, here's Quagmire walking through the park, minding his own business. I just happened to be there with my video camera when a ninja shows up! And then a Nazi came! And then a evil pots and pans robot! Destroy! Destroy! I imagine you're probably wondering what happened to the body. Oh! Dun 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 dun.
Joan isn't fooled for a second. Plan B is faking a heart attack. They stage a funeral. Everything's going smoothly until Mayor Adam West announces he's encasing the coffin in concrete to protect against zombies. Peter panics and reveals Quagmire is alive. Joan is relieved. She hugs him. Death shows up to collect a body. And then Joan makes a decision.
No, you can't take him!
This is probably not cool, just throwing it out there. She was suicidal.
She was?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had heard that too.
And her last name was Quagmire.
Well, good enough for me.
Before Death leaves, Quagmire asks for 5 minutes alone with the body.
That's Quagmire.
This relationship shows Quagmire at peak selfishness. He proposed without being emotionally ready, panicked the moment reality set in, and instead of being honest, escalated the situation into chaos. Joan was unstable and dangerous, but Quagmire created the entire scenario. He wanted the romance of commitment without the responsibility, and when that fantasy collapsed, he chose deception over honesty again. At this point, the pattern is undeniable. When Quagmire feels trapped, he doesn't change. He escapes. And next, we get a relationship that isn't about love at all. It's about consequences. If the Joan relationship was about panic, Charmise is about fallout. This one doesn't start with romance or even attraction. It starts with a blackout. After a wild night near Harvard, Quagmire wakes up married to a prostitute named Charmise. No courtship, no connection, just paperwork and regret. His first instinct is to get a divorce immediately, but Joe points out the problem. If Charmise fights it, she could take everything Quagmire owns.
Well, to be honest, if you divorce her, she'll probably get everything you have.
What? Oh, that's impossible.
So he does what he always does when he's trapped. He looks for a loophole. Quagmire tries to make the marriage work in the most technical sense possible, but Charmise is completely out of place in his world.
I would like to pawn all these clothes for crack money.
Every attempt to integrate her into Quahog ends in disaster. When the Griffins invite them over for dinner, it becomes painfully clear this was never going to work. The conversation spirals immediately. Meg somehow looks better by comparison. Charmise casually reveals she was stabbed in the vagina one Christmas.
No, I got knifed in the vagina one Christmas.
There's no love here, no partnership, just damage control. When Quagmire starts pulling away, Charmise asks if he's gay, and that's when he finds his loophole. If he's gay, the marriage is invalid, so he lies.
I have something to tell you, and this isn't easy. But I'm gay.
What?
Charmise demands proof. She wants to watch him have sex with a man to confirm it. Desperate enough to go through with it, Quagmire ropes Peter into the plan. Peter agrees, but only after insisting on a full date first. Because of course he does. The entire thing is humiliating, awkward, and deeply uncomfortable. And at the last second, Charmise stops it. She can tell Quagmire isn't gay, but instead of getting angry, she does something unexpected. She grants him the divorce anyway, not out of love, out of appreciation.
I'm saying I'll give you your divorce. You're off the hook.
Oh, thank you, Charmise. Thank you so much.
He treated her decently. He didn't abuse her. And in her world, that was enough. Charmise walks away with more dignity than Quagmire ever showed throughout the relationship. That's the point. This was never a love story. Charmise wasn't a partner. She was a problem Quagmire was trying to solve. He never considered her feelings, never saw her as a person, just an obstacle between him and his old life. And the fact that she ended up being the more understanding one says everything. At this stage, Quagmire isn't chasing love anymore. He's running from consequences. And next, that pattern turns from selfish to outright disturbing. Because the next woman isn't someone Quagmire meets by accident. It's someone he's been waiting for. Up to this point, Quagmire's worst relationships involved selfishness, cowardice, or bad judgment. This one is different. Because this isn't a relationship that failed. It's one that almost happened. Meg turns 18, and her family plans a surprise birthday party. Almost no one shows up, except Quagmire. And from the moment he walks in, his intentions are clear. He's nervous, rambling, overly familiar, already framing her birthday as a milestone that suddenly makes her fair game. He gives her a candle as a gift and starts in with the compliments. Then his hand wanders.
Hey, where's that pinky going, huh? Where's he going? What's he do? Get back here. There you go.
Look at Quagmire hitting on that skank. You know he's gonna close the deal.
Peter, that skank is your daughter.
Oh my God, you're right!
Stewie tries to protect Meg. Peter finally steps in. Lois hesitates. Quagmire takes Meg out on a date. And here's what makes this uncomfortable in a very specific way. Meg likes it. Not because she's attracted to Quagmire, but because someone is paying attention to her. She's being treated like she matters. Something she almost never gets. That's what Quagmire is exploiting. When Peter confronts him, Quagmire doesn't back down. He justifies himself by pointing to legality.
Wait a second! No, I won't talk to her, and I want you to stay the hell away from her!
Peter, it's me, Quagmire. This is what I do. Besides, Meg is 18 now, and you've got to let go. You've done your job. It's my turn now.
That's not confidence. That's calculation. Peter tries everything to stop it. He follows them. He interrupts dates. He physically blocks Quagmire from getting near her. Lois argues that pushing too hard will only make Meg rebel, until she finds out Quagmire took Meg to his sex cabin. That's when the line is finally drawn. They rush to the cabin and find Meg and Quagmire half-dressed. Peter shuts it down immediately. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't debate. He becomes a parent. Meg listens.
Meg, get in the car. We're going home.
I'm not going home. I'm 18 and you can't tell me what to do anymore.
Meg, I'm only going to say this once. You may be an adult, but you're still my daughter. And it's my job to protect you from errant wieners. So I don't care how old you are, you're going to do what I say and get in the damn car!
Yes, Daddy.
Later, she thanks her parents for stopping her. She realizes Quagmire wasn't interested in her as a person. He was waiting for her to become legal. And that's the point. This isn't disturbing because it happened. It's disturbing because Quagmire watched Meg grow up next door, counted down the days, and acted the moment the law allowed him to. There's no romance here, no misunderstanding, no tragic timing. Just predatory behavior dressed up as legality. Quagmire doesn't see women as people first. He sees thresholds, age limits, technical permissions. Meg deserved better than being someone's countdown clock. And if you think that's rock bottom, somehow it isn't. Because next, Quagmire finally meets someone who treats him the way he's treated others, and it almost destroys him. Sonia is the point where Quagmire's behavior stops being abstract and starts coming back at him directly. This one begins with Quagmire's computer breaking. He takes it in for repair, and the clerk, Sonia, discovers his porn collection while fixing it. Instead of being shocked or disgusted, she's intrigued. She understands his fantasies. She shares his interests. For Quagmire, that feels like fate. They go on a date. It feels effortless. She's sexually adventurous, dominant, and completely unbothered by his past. For the first time in a long time, Quagmire thinks he's found someone who truly gets him. He wakes up handcuffed to the bed. He'd been drugged, and somehow, Quagmire takes this as a good sign. He tells the guys he's finally found his soulmate, someone who pushes boundaries the way he does. They start engaging in increasingly extreme sexual behavior, including dragging his father Ida into the situation. At the Drunken Clam, Quagmire starts showing up with bruises. When the guys ask if he's okay, he brushes it off. He insists everything's fine. Then, Sonia stops pretending. She beats him in a parking lot, locks him in the trunk of his car, and drives off, claiming she's just fulfilling his fantasies about domination and humiliation.
Will you stop, please?
Come on, you love it.
Ow! You're hurting me, and I really need to clean out my trunk!
Oh, I'm gonna clean out your trunk. Giggity.
That's my word! That's my word!
Days pass. Nobody has seen Quagmire. Ida shows up genuinely worried. Joe notices he's missing work. For once, this isn't a joke. The guys go looking for him and eventually track Sonia down to a storage container in an industrial area. Inside, they find Quagmire malnourished, traumatized, barely functioning. Sonia returns, grabs Joe's gun, and threatens all of them. Joe calls her bluff and tackles her, finally ending it. Quagmire survives.
Oh, Glenn, I was so worried about you. Are you all right?
No, I'm pretty far from all right.
But this isn't a kinky misunderstanding. It's kidnapping, assault, and imprisonment. Sonia didn't love Quagmire. She saw someone whose desires made him easy to manipulate, and Quagmire fell for it because he couldn't tell the difference anymore. After decades of treating intimacy as transactional, of viewing women as conquests instead of partners, he lost the ability to recognize real connection. He confused abuse for passion, control for desire, violence for intimacy. Sonia didn't create that confusion. She exploited it. And that's what makes this relationship the most important one of all. Because Sujin showed us who Quagmire could have been. Cheryl showed us what he wanted. Lois showed us what was possible. Sonia shows us what happens when he never changes. This is the end of the pattern. And the tragedy of Glenn Quagmire's love life isn't that he can't find love. It's that by the time love shows up, he doesn't know what it looks like anymore. Quagmire's love life isn't a mystery. The best relationships showed us who he could be. The worst ones showed us who he keeps choosing to be. And that gap between potential and reality, that's where every one of these stories lives. So now it's your turn. Which of Quagmire's relationships do you think showed the most growth? And which one crossed the line so hard it stopped being funny altogether? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and stick around. Because if this show has taught us anything, it's that no one stays the same forever, except maybe Quagmire.
Giggity, 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 giggity.